You feel it before you even decide to do it. A small itch in your hand, your thumb moves toward your pocket, your phone lights up, and for a few seconds the world disappears. You weren't bored. You weren't even thinking. Your hand just moved. But the real answer for why this happens is far stranger than phone addiction. It starts almost 3 million years ago, on a dry savannah, with an ancestor who had no phone, no screen, and no idea what either of those things were. And yet, the same circuit that makes you check your phone right now was already running in their brain. Here's the question. Why does checking feel so good, even when there's nothing new? Why does your brain reward you for looking before it even knows what you'll find? To understand this, you have to go back to the savannah. Your early ancestors lived in a world of constant, low-grade uncertainty. Was that rustle in the grass wind or a predator? Was that shape on the horizon a herd of food or a rival group? Every few minutes, the environment offered a tiny puzzle, and solving that puzzle, even just by looking, had a payoff. Sometimes the payoff was food. Sometimes it was safety. Sometimes it was nothing at all. But the brain couldn't know in advance which it would be. This is where the story gets interesting. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz, working with primates in the 1990s, discovered something that changed how we understand motivation. He found that dopamine, the chemical most people associate with pleasure, isn't actually released when you get a reward. It's released in anticipation of a possible reward. Dopamine is decoded simply. It's the brain's signal for something good might be coming, pay attention. Schultz's monkeys received a cue, then a reward. And over time, their dopamine spiked, not at the reward, but at the cue. The brain was rewarding the looking, not the finding. Now, here's the twist. Schultz's team discovered that dopamine spikes were highest not when a reward was guaranteed, and not when it was impossible, but when it was uncertain. A 50-50 chance produced the biggest spike of all. Uncertainty, it turns out, is the most addictive thing in the world, not the reward itself, the not knowing. Think about what that means for your ancestor on the savannah. Every glance toward the grass, every scan of the horizon, every check of the watering hole was a small, uncertain bet. Most of the time, nothing happened. But the brain didn't punish nothing. It just kept the loop running because next time might be different. This wasn't a flaw. This was survival. An animal that stopped checking would eventually miss the one time it mattered. The checking behavior itself became the adaptive trait, not the outcomes. So your brain evolved a system that says, checking is free, checking is safe, and checking might pay off. Repeat forever. Now fast forward, take that exact system, that ancient uncertainty-seeking loop, and place it inside a glowing rectangle that fits in your palm. Every notification, every refresh, every new tab is a tiny rustle in the grass. Your brain doesn't know what's behind it. A message? A like? Nothing? It doesn't matter. The uncertainty alone is enough to trigger the same dopamine anticipation your ancestors felt scanning for predators. This is where psychologist B.F. Skinner's work becomes impossible to ignore. In the 1950s, Skinner ran experiments with pigeons and levers. When a lever delivered food every single time it was pressed, the pigeons pressed it occasionally calmly when hungry. But when the lever delivered food on a random, unpredictable schedule, sometimes nothing, sometimes a reward, the pigeons pressed it obsessively, constantly, even when they weren't hungry. Skinner called this a variable ratio reinforcement schedule, and it produced the strongest, most persistent behavior he had ever recorded in an animal. Here's the uncomfortable part. Your phone runs on a variable ratio schedule. Every time you pull to refresh, you're pulling Skinner's lever. Sometimes there's a reward, a message, a like, something interesting. Sometimes there's nothing. And because you can never predict which it will be, your brain treats every single pull as worth it. This isn't an accident of bad luck. It's the same mechanism your ancestors used to survive, now compressed into an interface designed, often deliberately, to maximize how often you pull the lever. But there's another layer to this, and it's even older than dopamine. It involves something called social monitoring, and to understand it, you have to think about what life actually looked like for early humans. For most of human history, you lived in a small group, maybe 30, 50, 100 people. Your survival didn't depend only on food and predators. It depended on your social standing within that group. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar has spent decades studying this. He proposed that human brains evolved largely to track social information: who is allied with who is angry at who might exclude you from the group. Being excluded from your group in that environment wasn't an inconvenience. It was often a death sentence. No group meant no protection, no shared food, no help raising children. So your brain developed a constant, low-level background process, monitoring your social standing. Are people still okay with me? Did I miss something important? Is there a shift happening that I need to respond to? This monitoring never fully turns off. It runs quietly all the time, like a radar sweeping for changes in your social environment. Now think about what a notification actually is. It's a direct signal that something in your social world has changed. Someone mentioned you. Someone reacted to something you said. Someone is talking somewhere, and you weren't there. To your ancient social radar, this isn't a trivial buzz. It's a potential signal that your standing in the group might be shifting, and you need to check immediately to find out if you're safe. This is why ignoring a notification can feel almost physically uncomfortable. You're not just curious. Some deep, old part of your brain is treating it like a possible threat to your place in the tribe. Put these two systems together, dopamine's uncertainty-seeking loop and the ancient social radar, and you get something extraordinarily powerful. A device that delivers unpredictable rewards, tied directly to your social standing, available at every waking moment. Your ancestors checked the grass a few times an hour. You check your phone, on average, dozens of times a day, sometimes over 100. Same circuit, vastly higher frequency. Here's the counterintuitive part, though. This isn't really about willpower, and it never was. Telling yourself to just put the phone down is asking a 3 million-year-old survival system to override itself through sheer effort. That's not how deeply wired behaviors work. You don't fight ancient circuitry with modern guilt. You work with it, or you redesign the environment around it. This is exactly what behavioral scientists mean when they talk about choice architecture. The psychologist B.J. Fogg, who has studied habit formation for decades, found that the easiest way to change a deeply automatic behavior isn't to resist the urge in the moment. It's to change how easy or hard the behavior is to perform before the urge even arrives. Move the phone to another room, and the check becomes a deliberate act instead of an automatic one. The ancient loop is still there, but the rustle in the grass is now a little farther away. So what does all of this mean for you right now, today? It means that every time you feel that pull toward your phone, you're not weak and you're not broken. You're running software that was perfected over millions of years to keep your ancestors alive. The system worked exactly as designed. It just never anticipated a world where the grass never stops rustling, where uncertainty is manufactured every few seconds by design, and where your social radar is pinged by strangers, algorithms, and notifications from people you've never met. Your ancestors checked the horizon because the horizon occasionally held something that mattered. You check your phone because somewhere deep in your brain, a very old voice is still whispering the same thing it always has. Something might be out there. You should look. Tonight, when you feel your hand reach for your phone without deciding to, pause for 1 second. That reach isn't really about the phone. It's the oldest habit you have, dressed in a brand new shape.